Welcome back, everybody. It's time to get ready for our third and potential final game of this losers bracket final, semifinals, whatever you want to call it. So far, you can kind of call it a one-sided affair. Detonation absolutely been on top of this series, and now, look, I'm going to be a little anecdote. I came into this one. I've got a couple posters right here. This one, can't see it. Spyro the Dragon. I thought I'd celebrate the return of Detonation by putting up this poster at the end of it all because it's like Awakening the Sleeping Dragon. The other one would have been The Nightmare Before Christmas had they wound up losing. Yeah, I don't think I need that anymore. However, I'm going to ask you, middle. Oh, you still think there's hope? You still think there's a chance? Because you were saying you were making some bold predictions, I feel like, while we were at break.
Yeah. I hate you, Formal.
What did you say, Middlecott? What did you wager, Middlecott?
What was this?
You dug yourself into?
Okay. So I just want to preface this by saying that I'm going to be very happy if AXIZ are able to get the reverse sweep. I think it's looking unlikely, but if they do it, I am willing to get my love for the Narwhals tattooed upon myself. So I'll grab the AXIZ logo, probably go like here or something. I think it look good.
I mean, you are aware that's a permanent fixture on your arm, right? That will be there forever.
What do you mean? Results stay forever too, Max. If they win that 3-2, that's permanent. It's in history.
Yeah, the legacy from this game will echo throughout the ages. And then I'd be able to get that immortalized upon myself.
And then what would happen if they lose to Rascal Jesters? You know what? No, we got it recorded. We got it on film. It doesn't matter. We have it on film. The wager's been set.
Namira, crying.
Namira, I have to ask you though. Like, are we going to go that same route? Are we going to be getting, a DF Detonation tattoo?
Yeah.
If they win, I should say not when. If they win,
I feel like if Detonation FocusMe win, I think I'm just going to sit there looking smug, and I'll just do that because that's what normal people react to regular sporting situations with Middlecott.
You know what? I appreciate the faith. You cannot doubt AXIZ's commitment to Middlecott, or should I say Middlecott's
I know that there was that guy that named their child after every single player in the Premier League winning Liverpool squad. I'm not that person.
Yeah, that's why.
Wait. How many children did he have?
Oh, no. He just gave them 15 middle names.
Okay.
A lot of middle names.
15 children for a second. Okay, good. As long as we're not, recreating a new lineup, I think that makes a little bit more sense. It's like, would you rather fight, one duck-sized horse or 100 horse-sized ducks? Back to the game at hand, though. I feel like we're getting a little off track because there still is one more game to be played right now. So far, Detonation, they've been quite dominant. We've looked towards the middle lane being as one of their catalyst points. However, I want to go to the top side because I don't think we've been talking enough about Ebby of all players in recent times, because Ebby had a few key moments in that last series. So I'm just going to throw this up for whoever wants to take it. Has Ebby been a low-key sort of unsung hero so far in this series? Because I'm kind of leaning towards yes.
Oh, for sure. I mean, game one, what Ebby did at the early levels could have very well ended that game. Straight out. It would have been a non-contest without Crash to come in that top side. Renekton dies, has to teleport back and misses most of that wave. It's mainly on me for Hoglet for bailing out Ino's early lane stake, because that was such an awful level 1 trade from the Renekton. And of course, you're not expecting to win that one, but Ino kind of half-hearts it and gets absolutely blasted for it. In game 2, that set made things even worse. That teleport bot lane just shredded that lead, which they managed to get from the 2v2, and that's what set up the DFM bot lane for success and put that Vayne so far behind. So Ebby, really coming up strong, regardless of the CS numbers.
So I don't know if people have figured this out yet, but when we know we're about to go to the cast, I just throw it to the top lane because no one ever talks about it. And then as soon as we're ready to come over, well, then we just stop talking about the top lane because no one ever cares about that. We're going to throw it to our casters right now. We're going to take this one back away for game number 3. It's that same duo of Swan and Initialize. Let's see how this last game plays out.
I suspect Formal's about to get a very strongly worded notice from Ebby, a serious formal declaration of a 1v1 duel in the top lane. See how he likes it then. See if you forget about him that time, Lexi. But we've had a very interesting analyst desk there. Middlecott put himself on the line, his body on the line, quite literally for AXIZ, willing to get the tattoo if the reverse sweep comes through. I don't know whether I want AXIZ to win or not at this point.
There is something called a pointless bet in the world of the betting world. In the degenerate world, there are things called pointless bets, and there are pointless bets where you're just saying things that will never happen. Well done, Middlecourt. You raised such a bar of putting something permanent on you, even though we all know you're a Crest Gaming Act fan first and foremost. So you're going to make a bet to make something spicy, even though it's never going to happen. I don't buy it. We all know DFM are winning this. Your copium levels are so low right now, Middlecourt, on AXIZ, that you started making ridiculous bets as we go into pick and ban phase. We've got the same kind of scenario going, and it doesn't matter because guess what? Hypercarry's gone.
Absolutely it is. AXIZ are still on blue side. They're banning out the Twisted Fate from Aria this time as well. I suspect there's the Ziggs ban. Nidalee still up, Set's still up. They're just trying to find all the various picks that DFM have to offer. There's the first pick, Renekton, and I wonder whether we're going to see something like the Vayne back again, because obviously no Twisted Fate means slightly harder to be able to be on top of the Vayne every time there's a fight. See what the options are here from DFM in this potentially final game. Nidalee would make a lot of sense, and if they do, I would be unsurprised to see the Set in second here as well.
Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I feel like is how DFM are doing it. It was broken the way that they wanted to play the game versus Rascal Jester. So what did they decide to do? Well, let's try this strategy versus AXIZ, and it's been rather flawless so far. I'm interested to see if AXIZ decide that they might have to give Honey maybe an unfavorable position and actually put him in an opportunity for a counter pick, and they absolutely do. They lock in that Varus. They're going for a Thresh. They want to have the ability of a very strong and comfortable, and importantly, the ability to disengage or re-engage when they want to. That's what Thresh Varus has.
There it is. It's been banned so much against DFM, and Aria gets a hold of his Irelia. Of course, could be flexed. It could be a world where Ebby picks that up.
Absolutely.
Pretty unlikely with the way this series has been going. Pretty unlikely considering history, but there is that option. Nemo did get a hold of his Thresh though, Lexi, and that's been critical for him across this really successful split for this rookie.
He won MVP of a series against Crest Gaming Act simply because of his Thresh. Even with multiple members on his team having MVP-worthy performances, it wasn't allowed. Though Aria hasn't been allowed earlier a single time in playoffs. This is the first match of it, and it's forced because of AXIZ playing around certain things, Rakan getting around. This was something I mentioned earlier. We haven't seen some of those other picks from the side of Detention FocusMe, nor have we seen it from AXIZ, though we could still see that Rumble. We could still see something like a Kennen. It's unlikely, but hey, if we decide to see set support, something like that could happen. Hoglet's Viego is gone though, and that was a pretty important fixture of that previous game.
Yeah, they've had to change up their draft priorities of AXIZ. They've got themselves a safe, a solid, a lot of pick in that bot lane. That didn't really work as a sentence, but the point still works. The point, at least this time, Honey can play something that is priority, that has range, that maybe can survive a little bit better than the Vayne, which really got counterpicked, unfortunately, in that last one. Gang gets a hold of his Leona, and they're leaving AD carry for last pick here.
Yeah, and absolutely they should, because guess what? Leona is pretty much, has 100% presence in Academy. And we are playing on a patch 11.16. Leona has one of the highest presence rates for any other support champion. Ooh. No way did I actually did my homework pay off.
It paid off. There it is. Savage Lexi strikes in game 3.
Oh, this is why I'm a scout. This is why I predicted Kinatsu to come over and play for Rascal Jester. I picked Megamin to be a top prospect, and Nemo locking in Ino's one of his most important champions when we saw him against V3 Esports. Let's see how this plays out. What kind of carry do you want to play Utapon versus a side that has kind of some pick potential, that has some long range potential? Do you want to go for something like a Kai'Sa so you can dip, duck, and dive around? Do you want to go for something like a Jhin who has a huge ultimate to set up? There's Ashe still open. You can be a late game carry. There's a lot of stuff still open for him. He does want to go with this Jhin. I'm not a fan, but that doesn't matter if I'm a fan of it because Utapon is the pilot and we've seen stellar performances before.
Look, the last time the Jhin came out, it didn't really work. This time, at least, there's a lot more setup for Jin. Like, Jin can throw down the W to follow up from miles away, and that really helps with things like the Nidalee. You throw down the curtain call, if everyone else goes in, you can follow up for miles again. It's once again on the likes of that kind of top side of the map to really get things going, and then the follow-up from the bot side for DFM. On the other side, complete flip of the script for AXIZ. We haven't seen Rumble Jungle in months. It's been so out of meta for such a long time. Hoglet's bringing it back. Equalizer, plus that cannon barrage. So much zone control for AXIZ, Lexi.
And you know who he beat in solo queue, in Korean solo queue?
Tell me.
With it? He beat the blank knight in solo queue doing it. KT Rolster, former Sengoku, obviously with Pyrian as well. This is what highlighted it to me. I was like, wait, if he's beating like blank on Viego, this is going to be very exciting. It's very similar to how old Rumble used to work. We go Conqueror, we still go for Rocket Belt. Like nothing else has changed. This is still the same old Rumble we used to know and adore. Terrified, hey, I'm not really sure, but there's a lot of important parts. Megamin back on that Renekton, remember. This is the champion that we started going, wait, Megamin actually doesn't look awful in the laning phase. They had that flexibility because guess what? That Aurelia getting picked up by Arya. There's a lot of dynamic stuff happening here. We've got we've got the equalizer with the gangplay. Oh, if anyone gets caught in the middle of that, they're just going to get absolutely removed. We've got Honey with the long range, but then the side of DFM, they want to do this kind of pick and go back again. They can play very much aggressive. They can dive very far onto a backline. Honey is rarely going to be safe, but then at the same time, Utapon kind of has the same issue. Oh, this is going to be a match for the ages, and this is match point for DFM.
It
so
really
much on the line.
Exactly, and I have to keep my eyes on, like, of course, that last-minute flex of where the Renekton's going as well. Like, Aurelia into Renekton, bit better for the Renekton earlier than perhaps versus the set, you have to imagine, which was really difficult. Of course, Gangplank with his parlay trades can potentially do a bit better at the level 1 versus the set as well.
Oh, you don't want to face him level 1.
So, I mean, of course, Trial by Fire as that passive gives some options as well. So, like, I like the attempt to flex here from AXIZ. I mean, I have to see how it works, of course, because they've got a lot of zone control, but not the hardest engage here. You're looking for pick from the bot lane, whether a Death Sentence or a Chains of Corruption landing. You're looking for Megamin to go flashing in, but otherwise the engage is quite soft, really, from AXIZ, and that maybe could be difficult, especially when you're versus things like the Nidalee and the Jhin, who could potentially poke you out before a fight even starts. But there's Varus on the other side as well.
I mean, I would outright agree with you. However, this is Nemo. This is you know exactly where I was going with this. This is Nemo. He has actually been almost to the point where Gang is MVP caliber level of performances on Thresh. That's how deep and how confident I am with Nemo's Thresh. He's one of the best supports in this region at the moment. He's having a stellar season. Huge prospecting talent for the future of the LJL, ladies and gentlemen. And his Thresh could be the game changer. If he's always got the lantern to protect Honey, if he's always landing those hooks, it could go any way.
All right, so eyes on Nemo. It's his signature pick. Eyes on the top side of the map as well for AXIZ. It's some serious change in style for them, bringing out some older picks, bringing out some clutch picks. They're going to need it because DFM have once again got a lot of picks they're really comfortable on. One slight eyebrow raise has been that Jhin. Didn't work the last time they pulled it out, but definitely a bit more setup for it this time, I feel. See where these junglers starting. Hoglet's actually just wandered into this top lane bush to see whether he can catch somebody else out in lane, but just DFM going in to put down a deep ward, and of course if Set was to face check that, he doesn't. He's going to sit in that bush. And
DFM question mark pinging. They knew that ward's gone there. They've seen this level 1 strategy from AXIZ. They're completely aware.
They're kind of assuming GP's potentially waiting in there. I suppose not necessarily expecting Hoglet to be in there, but either way, he's come back. He put the ward down for GP, interestingly. So he's got back and put a sweep. It's not a ward in the river, Lex. He put a ward in the lane to try and spot out Set's level 1. I really love that adaptation because now I know still has that ward to watch out for a gank.
Absolutely. There's a huge amount of importance on how these early levels are going to go, and having something like that for knowing that they've got vision and not having to use their own ward, allowing obviously Hoglet to place that ward, go for Scry, switch back around and come back at it. It's putting favored. And hey, he's already got a level advantage because I said to you, these traits aren't great for Ino, but Ebby just always gets max Conqueror stacks because he's an absolute monster.
even with the level 1, you saw Ebby's health bar drop from the early parlay, and it's a bit of a turnaround now, so at least I know gets something back the level 1. A lot of aggressive trading, and now Ebby needs to be a bit more afraid. He's, of course, got himself some options here as the game goes on. AXIZ finally getting the AI vote. It's probably because of things like
game
being in it this time. Yeah, it does have it as well. It seems to give power spikes over to AXIZ, interestingly, of course. See whether that actually plays out in game. Of course, a lot of playmaking on DFM. That's what pretty much every single one of these champions has. Lots of CC setup, options to make things work. So maybe they can buck the statistical trend here. But interesting to see that as we're coming into game.
Well, yeah, Varus is on this map. Also, there's a lot of global damage, and it's very easy for the side of AXIZ reasonably. If you have a half-decent equalizer, half-decent gangplank ult, it's not hard to just get some okay damage, just on average from all the sum of your parts. Whereas for DFM, they need to be far smarter about how they play around some of these objectives, how they use their ultimates. They can't just willy-nilly throw them down, which is what the benefit of AXIZ actually have. They actually have the kind of comfortability to go, hey, it's okay for us to make maybe unfavorable ultimates and just to throw it out there and see what we can get, because hey, if on the right map, on the right way that this goes, this is just going to always be favored for us. However, Ino is having a pretty rough time in this top side and is out of mana, and he's used all of his corrupting pots. This is not good.
He's used them all to chunk Ebby out. There's a teleport coming back in from Arya here, and he's coming back to lane. He's gone back really early for that long sword. Gets himself back into lane. And boots, so he's just feeling like he wants that early back as often as he can. Ina now out of mana, as you said. Ebby takes a turret shot, takes 2 turret shots, but managed to immune that second one with the Haymaker. Of course, with the True Grit passive does heal up much more than normal top laners just passively. And Steel's just coming around looking for more trade. Ina got maybe a parlay. Don't think he'll have quite enough for use of the parlay on top of that option. Now he's used it. He's going to have nothing here. But he needs to land this. Here comes the teleport. They're going to run away RDFM. Had nothing for the orange, but that is now Megamin forced to TP up to save his top laner's life.
And look at the amount of CS and experience that is just getting farmed. Arya is just like, yeah, the side of DFM played this absolutely how they wanted to do this. They knew that they were like, okay, well, we'll either get Ino, and that's winner, chicken dinner for us, or we just force Megamin to come over here, and then he's falling behind in mid lane, which just puts Arya further ahead. And it's always just net advantage, net advantage. DFM are so good at this, and this is something we saw so much of them after that MSI hangover during that 11 regular win streak, that they would just do things like that. They're like, we're going to play the game in a way that it kind of puts us in a difficult environment and a difficult situation, because we're going to have to play so smart. But this is what they need to do if they're going to be our world's representative. They have to not only play smart, but they have to put themselves in some maybe difficult situations so they know they can win this. I know, though, is trying to go 1v1 versus Arya, even with a level disparity.
We've got a bit of a lane swap that's gone on here. I don't know whether this is going to be permanent or whether this is just what they've decided to do after the teleport had to be popped by Megamin.
Oh, well, Megamin's running back up mid lane, so I think it is just a covering position.
It was indeed. Of course, the wave was in a really awkward position because Arya's frozen it kind of in this really challenging spot here. It is now going to get pushed out. Ino does at least manage to get that done, but Ebby still hasn't back, still got teleport, can still look to back at some point in the wave now in a bit of a difficult position for Ino in that top side. And just some interesting attempts to stabilize some of these early lanes. As you said, a lot of the early mana being popped by Ino to trade with Ebby puts him in a difficult position. Level 6 is hit now for both mid laners. DFM around looking to see whether they can punish Megamin.
Yeah, I know level 4 at the moment. Ebby level 6. I know just pinged over to 5, so it's going to be a while till that cannon barrage does come out for this gangplank. And that's a huge ultimate because the side of AXIZ are going to be using that in a lot of their team fights. The fact is, it has a really long cooldown, so it's going to be a while till we get it. No equalizer either for Hoglet at the moment, though Ebby doesn't know Hoglet's here, but he is walking off.
He did see the ward, so he's going to flash it, just dies. Flash in from Hoglet, tags him with the Electro Harpoon. I don't think Ebby expected he was going to die there. I think he could walk out, and that is a mistake from the top laner. Does at least have teleports that can come back in, but great stuff from Hoglet to make this Rumble work early. Probably comes in trade for this dragon, but nice stuff there from the jungler.
Yeah, it's very strong for them. Obviously, getting that first blood is pretty huge and does definitely assist the side of AXIZ. However, Steel is going to be able to secure this dragon. It is going to be an exchange. Hoglet isn't going to be able to get here in time, most likely, though.
They're going to try and play for this? Is this a smite? Oh my god. Steel has to flash out, survives now, but the ignite will keep him alive. Now they're starting to play out as Megamin is in the river. Gang gets one, but it's traded back. It's a 1-for-1 right now. But Steel needs to look probably for an execute at this point as Megamin is hunting for him. Steel going to try and blast coming back over, but he's back into where Hoglet is. He's going to try and escape best he can. He's only got one more pound to get stunned in place. Has the smite, but it's just not enough, and he will get taken down as well. I think that was a bit bold trying to come back into the jungle, and he dies as well. It's a 2-for-1 trade in the Dragon Pit.
Yeah, I would have really liked him to have executed just as you were putting. I think it's absolutely the correct line, but Ebby's getting huge damage on Ino.
Oh, Ino's just dead. He's going to try and cleanse out with the orange. Has got that option, throws down the cannon barrage, and maybe Ino can try and turn this around. I don't know whether he's got barrel charges. Here come the attempted uses of the knuckle down, but it's going to be enough to get Ino out safely. Ult for ult, but Ino probably needs to back away here with the health bar very low.
Not only that, he does have his TP, so he can hopefully just TP straight back into this lane and not lose too much out for that exchange. But without the cannon barrage, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for him to clear this wave out, especially with the fact that Steel has already rotated around, and with this blue buff, shouldn't be too far off of getting 6, which doesn't change and doesn't really spike Steel much more, but that's just a nice extra bonus amount of damage to come around. It also means he's at least matching Hoglet, who has actually got that advantage, who has got an ultimate now, and that equalizer is something that we're gonna need to pay attention to because it can make or break an engage for DFM.
Ino needs to be a bit afraid. He's walking after this. You can't do that. That flash away from the Vanguard's edge. So clutch there. Keeps himself alive.
But now Ino has no summoners. He is actually playing with nothing. He hasn't got a cannon barrage. He has to play so safe now and so defensively in this lane, because if any moment that DFM decide to pounce on him over the next, call it 3.5 minutes, in a team fight, in an engage, if he's only got that cannon barrage and an orange, he could still get taken out, because as we've mentioned several times before, DFM have a lot of CC.
You do, but AXIZ at this point, about 1,000 gold, mostly off those early kills. They'll get themselves the early Herald as well, can look to try and get some of their lanes ahead. 2 kills on this, Renekton in the mid lane, Megamin feeling really happy about that. And now they're going to see whether they can push with this. Hoglet on this Rumble, been doing quite a lot to make DFM's life hard, but now Ebby flashes in, and that means that the Javelin goes wide. Was expecting a bit more. Needs to be very careful. Just dies to Ebby. He didn't use the Haymaker, and now Steel needs to try and play this one best he can. One final auto does it. The equalizer comes through, will not get Steel. It's a 1-for-1 on the top side. Well played from Ino to get one back, but Ebby now with a couple mistakes now on this set, gonna get himself in trouble. Arya gonna step forward and maybe try and get something on Megamin. He's got himself full stacks. Gonna start trying to come back around, waiting for that Blade Surge. There is the Dominus. Good stun back in with the Blade Surge, but he's got to be aware. He's out of mana. Flash from Megamin, not gonna follow. Arya gets out alive, but my days, that got close.
His signature Z emote as well coming out, going, ooh, maybe I almost just killed him. Megamin, what a performance from this rookie mid laner, but huge amount of uncharacteristic mistakes coming out from Eddie during this whole series. We saw him in game number 1 not have the cleanest laning phase, actually disappointing us to some aspect, and this time around, again a repeat, playing very aggressively on this set, and the plays just aren't working out for him here. I mean, obviously this is pretty catastrophic. Obviously Steel was planning that Ino was going to keep walking. Ebby tried to prevent that from happening and then was really far up. Didn't work out, didn't even ultimate on this set either. The fact is, Steel was able to at least make it a 1-for-1, but it could have gone way worse. I know, having a very good time on this gangplank, and Ebby, hopefully will clean it up, because we saw a lot of good things in game number 2 from him. I
don't know whether the showstopper was available, but that's a couple times now where Ebby's kind of just had a couple damage miscalculations, honestly. Kind of gets a little bit punished, meant that some of these plays from DFM haven't worked out early. Okay, less than 1,000 gold is a difference, so not catastrophic right now. There's a Herald in inventory for AXIZ. There's about 40 seconds to that Drake, and I suspect that Herald will be used shortly before that to buy themselves some spates and some plates. We'll see how it plays out from here. Just at this point in the game, with the cannon barrage up, with the equalizer up, with Megamin so strong early on, I just don't think DFM have the tools to fight around this dragon. Needs to be a bit afraid of this Herald shove as well.
Absolutely, and AXIZ are playing DFM's game at the moment. Actually, this is very characteristic of what DFM do. They don't play around the dragons. Yeah, they capitalize on their opponents misplaying and maybe playing a bit too aggressively. They played the Rift Herald a little bit early, and then they go, hey, we're just now going to rotate and play for the objective. DFM rarely actually played for the dragon. They played for the fight that the dragon normally offered them, because that's what teams used to do around them. So they would go on to the fight and then try and do something afterwards. This isn't how this is going. AXIZ are going to just take this dragon for free, and the side of DFM are actually like, hey, let's just triple stack a dragon, or maybe try and play around something else. What's going to be offered? DFM, I'm surprised you're not looking for something. Oh, wait, no, of course you are.
Oh my god, has to flash out from that one. Chains of Corruption was good as well, but here comes the attempted rotation down. They're going to throw down the Cannon Barrage. Utapon is here as well, trying to get outside of that one, but everybody from AXIZ going to run in and get the double kill. That was clean as you like. You can see them setting up for it. DFM tried to preempt it with the dive bot side, with the attempt onto Honey's life, but he flashes out, and that means the bot side dies. And good stuff from AXIZ. They can look to try and get some plates down here as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a little afraid, but he's just going to walk out. Okay, there you go. Under that one.
Yeah, and this is really well played by the side of AXIZ. This is something that we've talked about, that we wanted to see them improve in their gameplay and in their micro and macro senses. This is exactly what they've been doing. The laning phase has been very clean as Aria.
Oh, he's going to keep going. He might get it. Just gets the shutdown. Clean solo kill. Full stacks on Aurelia. One dead crocodile. Those boots looking mighty shiny.
It's all about Aria. This is the premier player, and we knew that they could always do this.
Woohoo! The flash past the stun! Hoglet's on it today. 3-0-2, the diving onto him now. He's still not got equalizer. He surely falls here. Shut down for steal. Hoglet was feeling it, but that's gold back over.
Yeah, that's pretty sad potatoes and pandas for the side of AXIZ. They're like, okay, we've got a lot of gold currently going on to Hoglet. The fact is, we're not getting much out more than just one trade, though. These two bot laners are playing a very risky game. They're forcing the TP out of Megamin as well now. Or is that I know? No, that was Megamin. So we won't have that for the Herald that's coming up in a minute. Obviously, everybody that's watching might already know my impressions and interpretation of Herald. Play around it if you can get it, but don't commit more than 2 players really to that second Herald. It's not first Herald. There's less of a reason to do it, but it won't be up for that Dragon as well in about 3 minutes from now. This fight all comes out from Megamin and Arya, and this is just a 1v1. It's all about Arya, and he just gets the clean one, even though Megamin was very far ahead. Pushes up a little bit, and Hoglet just sees blood in his eyes. This is aggressive and just
flash.
It's so aggro because it's hopeful. I mean, again, Gang did actually flash back, and this was just a cookie cutter situation for the side of DFM. And this is something we mentioned with Steel. If he ever has the opportunity, especially when that Night Harvester comes out, what's that I see? A Night Harvester? Yes, this is how this is probably going to go. Duskblade now for this Varus as well for Honey, so he has hit an item spike. Whereas on the other side for this Jhin, well, we haven't gone for Boots of Swiftness, which is a common purchase for Utapon, and, well, and just Jhins in general. But we've gone for the Gale Force, so we have gone a little bit different with the boots, but we've gone for the standard Gale Force.
Arya still just dashing forwards, being as aggressive as they can. This Aurelia at this point getting very, very scary. DFM hiding around the second Herald. They're looking to start a fight. They're going to try and go in. That's Gang going in, gets the Solar Flare. They're diving on in. Hoglet is done before he can use the Equalize. Another turnaround. Look at that Cannon Barrage. 1 for 1 right now as Megamin gets one. Ebby in the backside in a difficult position. Showstoppering forwards, but the cleanse out with the oranges means Ebby's in a difficult position. Didn't flash, dies down. Arya throws down the Vanguard's edge, and Ebby just dead for a second time. Didn't use the Haymaker, didn't use the flash. He dies, and AXIZ gets second Herald.
Yeah, Utapon did have the ultimate for that, but never a convenient spot or angle really to do it. He probably could have thrown it out as an opportunity to try and dissuade the side of AXIZ to maybe keep following, and that might have protected Ebby. But going into this replay, it's going to be important to actually just watch Megamin specifically, because he is the player that is going to be this front line. They teleport very early on, and obviously Steel is just dead very quickly after this play. The 2 junglers trade, and Ebby's just kind of in no man's land. But look at where Megamin is. He's playing this front line, and the side of DFM are just like, yeah, we can't go against a big hungry crocodile who is playing the front line, and Honey on the back line doing exactly what they need to do. Look at the amount of gold though, because there is about a 1.5k gold difference between these two bot laners at the moment. Honey has definitely been accelerated, especially through that previous team fight that we just witnessed. He's got a fair amount of gold just chilling on his person, as does Arya as well. So we're waiting for power spikes for some of these carries.
And the thing is, DFM a comp that dives in mostly, and they're doing it into Renekton GP and this Fed Rumble. Equalizer, Cannon Barrage, Dominus. That's such hard work to dive into.
Also the cage, Flay, just so much that you don't want to do. Like, this is anti-dive if you've ever called it. Like, run through our Equalizer. Do it.
Ooh, that's a big chunk. Steel is going to try his best. He's despite that, he's definitely been getting as much out of this as he can. And, you know, this Varus is strong as well, doing a fair amount. They got this second Dragon Life. It's an Infernal Rift, and DFM would love to look for it. Steel just hopping around, trying to throw down as much poke as he can. This mid lane turret now going to be the potential angle for DFM. Win conditions here for DFM looking a little bit narrow, honestly. Arya's Aurelia is strong, and I don't think anybody wins a 1v1 versus him, but it's never a 1v1. Because Equalizer and Cannon Barrage comes down from miles out. And they're going to start shoving in with this Herald. They get themselves the outer tower in mid lane. And AXIZ find themselves up 3,500 gold. And this team comp that came as a bit of a curveball, those final two picks, looking a lot better now for AXIZ right now. Maybe these poke spears are landing from Steel, though. And it's making things pretty difficult for AXIZ.
And this is just the power that we saw in game number 2 from the side of Detention FocusMe when they commit fully to a poke comp. We saw them out poke, and this time around, they've just gone, hey, what about if we just have our jungler be the poke, because he's just so good at landing spears, and then let's just have an Aurelia, have some other stuff as well.
Into corruption, go wide. Home comes the Equalizer teleporting from Arya, but it's deep. He's not there yet. Ebby's got the Haymaker, but he's sure to fall. Honey gets canked on. Arya gets him. Ebby's still alive. Megaman's going to cheat tracing, but at this time, he's still being on him. Steel gets the dragon. Now Nemo needs to try and get out. The flay is not enough. Megaman about to fall as well, and Arya is just running rampant. Gang gets the stun. Hogler going down. Now Ino is surely the only man left standing, as Arya is still a monster on Aurelia. It was banned for a goddamn reason. There come the oranges. The W comes out. But that is a dragon. That is a teamfight victory. It's a 4-for-3. But DFM just about edge it out. Bloody hell, that one got a little bit spicy.
Arya is actually smurfing this game. This man's sidewave push. Steel is impeccable. Look at how deep this comes in, and the side of DFM are able to play a 4v5 for so long. Look at how well Gang is able just to escape and kind of walk off afterwards, and then look at Arya coming out from absolute no man's land, landing the stun. Obviously the steal here from Steel on a 2v1, may I add, getting the flash and then getting out to just kind of bait them all back over. And this is perfect, because this is exactly what the side of DFM wanted. They wanted to just get all the members grouped together. They're able to kill them here, and obviously Ino gets out. Arya with the long range TP coming in from absolute no man's land. And yeah, I highlight the player because it's all about Arya.
Yep. He gets the Aurelia. This whole team comp is about setting up this Aurelia to murder people. It's potentially harder to equalize it in Cannon Barrage, and anytime there's a choke point, it gets really scary. But if this,
so don't play a choke point. Play in an open environment and let Arya just dive all over the place. It's perfect.
But you cannot 1v1 this Aurelia at this point of the game. They're bringing everybody down now to try and deal with it. There's just Mega mid top. And this Aurelia is real strong. He's 2 levels above absolutely everybody else in the game. Yeah, this Aurelia is really scary. And DFM, yeah, they fell down a bit early. Yes, AXIZ with the curveballs, with some damage miscalculations, we'll call it, from Ebby, have definitely been a bit scary, but it does get a bit difficult the further on this game goes. Megaman does get rooted, but slice and dices away from people coming through. Equalizer coming through, Chains of Corruption wide as well, and a couple big ultimates that come down for a little gain there, and of course it's an Aurelia, so she finds a wave and will heal right back up again very quickly.
Yeah, and with this top turret also going down, they are trading this bot turret. I almost wonder if DFM are going to potentially look at clearing out this vision top side. They are actually doing this, and then maybe collapsing around this Baron because they know those ultimates aren't going to be up for the next few minutes. Maybe even try and force out the Cannon Barrage so they know that that's not going to be round for the next team fight, because DFM do have the ability of just kind of pulling AXIZ around at the moment, because Arya is just so strong at the moment. While the side of AXIZ do have a gold advantage at the moment, it's about a 1k, 1.5k gold advantage. that gold is spread out, and if it's not spread out, it's all kind of onto Hoglet, kind of more onto the Megaman, which, yes, good champions to have it on, important champions to have it on. But you kind of need some of that gold to be more funneled onto Honey, so you really feel confident with some of how the plays are going to go. I'm a little bit worried for AXIZ, especially if another Infernal Drake goes DFM's way. There's no guarantee, and let's be real here, Steel lived up to his namesake and made sure in a 2v1 scenario that he could get it and then get out, while also just 2v1ing a Gangplank and Rumble on his lonesome, because he's that smurfed at the moment. Like, the members of DFM are using so much with the sum of their parts. Just, can they continue that? Or will AXIZ keep finding these small opportunities around the map, which they have done so well in this early game?
They have, but that gold lead they had has shrunk somewhat. The tower is now starting to fall as well for DFM. They're getting some of those back. Do you want to highlight a couple of the item choices? Actually, Unipon used to be afraid. Well, Gale forced away. Voids that. Chains of Corruption takes the arrow afterwards, but it stays alive for now. Honey and... Ooh, Nemo did not want to take that spear. That one hurt.
And what's important is, if Unipon backs now, he should be able to have his Gale Force up in time for this dragon fight, whereas Honey will also have the Chains of Corruption. So it was kind of just ultimate
opportunistic
Gale Force, and I kind of just trade in the end as Steel. Every time I see these Nidalee spears going, I'm just like, oh god, because they're max range so commonly, they really start spiking back into the old days of AP flat Nidalee, where you start just one-shotting people. It
was silly. It was like mid lane Nidalee was not an acceptable part of the game. Like it
was my favorite thing, along with AP Yi mid lane. That was
stop Lexi. Oh, I loved and respected you. You were the chosen one. Give it into the darkness.
That's where you draw the line.
Yeah, you can't. Look, you give it into the hate with that one. That is some serious Sith crap. Not a fan.
Faker played it, and if we make it to group stage, we will have to play against Faker. So yeah, but we might have Chovy instead.
There's definitely that angle. There's Chovy in play-ins yet, so someone from the LJL is going to have to consider that one as well at some point, probably. Steel and the rest of DFM here and ready to fight, but watch out for the cannon barrage and the equalizer as a chainsaw and inventory runners on Megaman. Going to be on that side looking for the flank. Aria as well, looking for a good opportunity. Down to 2,500. In go DFM. The equalizer's no K. It's not fantastic, but Gang is dead. Dragon is secured though. Ebby into the backside. Aria needs to find something. He's getting chugged out. He goes down. This is a massive team fight win for AXIZ. Utapon gets one back, but it's a 4-for-1.
That was everything that AXIZ want. Yeah, you can have the dragon. Yeah, you can have the soul. You can be at soul point. That's fine by us. We get the gold advantage. We get some shutdowns on you. Yeah, we shut down Aria. Yeah, that's cool. We can get the Baron now. Yeah, okay, this sounds great. DFM, Hoglet showing the disrespect out there. Gwen, absolutely. What a performance from them. And Megaman played the backline flawlessly, forced the flash, the cleanse, and so much out of Utapon to the point where he just couldn't feel comfortable anymore in this fight, and he really didn't get any much of any damage out. Ebby did not play this front line very well at all, and this was just the combo CC train that we had talked about from AXIZ coming through in absolute dividends. And DFM looked almost a little flustered. The fact that AXIZ pulled off this dragon so early on, I was like, they're leashing. This looks really weird. I mean, well, actually, it was all a bait and switch.
I mean, you've got to call it out as well. I thought Aria in the backline, I thought it was going to be light out from there once he got in. But I want to see what happened to the Vanguard's edge, because I just don't think he got a lot of work done. Because, yes, DFM secured the dragon, and the Equalizer's good sort of initial damage, but I thought perhaps DFM could find the all-in there, and it just turns around so heavily, so quickly. Take me through it, Lexi.
So it's the fact that they go straight onto a Gangplank. Gangplank is, while he is the front line, that's not who you really want to be targeting. Look at Nemo here as well, just landing that hook onto Gang. And look at this. 2 members of DFM are already gone. They're out. They're not going to be here. Oh, and by the way, Unipon just can't get involved. So the fact is, AXIZ pick apart 2 members. They get Gang very early on into this fight, and then they get Steel straight after. It just becomes a 5v3 like that, because DFM focused so heavily on this dragon and then wanted to try and also get the fight afterwards as well. Their greed almost got the better, well, did get the better of them. And if they had probably just played for that dragon and then immediately disengaged, there's absolutely a chance that AXIZ get a player or two, but they don't get the Baron afterwards, and that's a surefire thing. DFM, we've seen this before in your series against Rascal Jesters, that you get a bit too big for your britches and want to fight for everything and anything, and it costs you Baron here and not much more. Let's just see how this progresses out, because AXIZ are very good when they do get a lead like this.
With the Vanguard's edge only hitting onto one as well, you could see Arya had to go around the wall to try and find another angle, just couldn't find it. These team fights are so difficult, but at least Steel still hurting, and they do have damage. They've got playmaking. It's just hard work. They've got the Infernal Soul. That is the Solar Flare into a bit of damage as well, but they just don't have the options to really follow up without running into all of this anti-dive that we've been talking about. Siege will continue. 30 seconds still left on this Baron buff. I don't think they break the base, but it puts AXIZ up about 6,000 gold right now in the game. They are so very strong.
Yeah, and Blitzcrank-san agrees with you as well, and as do I. Like, the play around that dragon, night and day, changed this game. They shouldn't have fought as deep as they had, and oh my god, these hooks from Nemo. We highlighted him in Pick and Ban phase. He won an MVP from us just because of how good his Thresh was 3 games in a row versus Crest Gaming Act. And something that we actually were worried about was, well, how are they going to find picks? How is AXIZ going to be finding these opportunities? Well, with some of the Cannon Barrage and the Equalizers, people do get slowed. Mega Man is playing the flank brilliantly. Oh, and Nemo gets to hook people. Well, I think we figured this out. AXIZ feel very comfortable in this game from the looks of things.
Who needs picks when DFM are going to dive straight into you? They'll offer the picks right up for you. You know, you're looking at this. Varus now 4 items, got himself a Serpent's Fang as well to deal with some of the shields that will be coming out from the Locket of Aurelia. Not of Aurelia, so of Leona. There we go. Took me a second. You're looking at Sterax that'll be coming in soon for the likes of Arya as well. On that Aurelia, Ebby's already got the Haymaker, and of course the Sterix Gauge. That makes a lot of sense. You're looking at Megaman, who's very tanky at this point. Chempunk Chainsword came in second for Rhino, so all of that healing that Arya wanted to use, so hard to even get off when the Cannon Barrage just dropped on him wherever he goes. AXIZ are in a great position in this game. The only difficult spot is this Infernal Soul, which they could lose, but I don't think DFM are in a position to compete for this next dragon that's coming up in 10 seconds.
They do happen to have a very deep ward, do DFM, all the way down in that tri-bush. And TPs are coming up. I don't expect them to go for anything here, but that spot specifically where that ward is, I wouldn't be too surprised if DFM make sure they want to have another ward there, or in that kind of vicinity, probably in 10 minutes time. I don't expect them to fight for the next dragon either in 5 more minutes. They might fight around Baron if AXIZ look like they're threatening it and are at least going to represent that they should threaten it. But if they don't have to, DFM can just look to try and farm up and try and catch back up from this gold deficit that they are in. They put themselves in this hole because they went for those team fights. They kept diving, and it's led into this kind of situation. Dragon Soul would be huge for DFM right now. It would really help them. But I wouldn't be confident that they would win the next team fight around Elder. That's my concern for the side of DFM at the moment, because AXIZ are well and truly ready to go, ready to fight. Item spikes have come in, and honestly, they should be looking at this Baron in 40 seconds.
Yeah, I think that's the plan. Obviously, from Red side, they've got Nidalee, they've got Jhin. They can absolutely make Barons really difficult to take right now for AXIZ. So that is the play, I think, right now. Just scale up, try and get your Infinity Edge or a GA potentially onto this Jhin. Give him even more potential to blow someone up. That might be an option as well. Give Set a chance to get through to something like a GA as well. That's an Equalizer coming through to try and steal away the red buff. Doesn't really work out, and Utapon does secure it. Of course, at this point in the game, it's on a non-negligible cooldown. As in fact, Arya finds a pick, and the Ino's just dead! He's gone, they're teleporting in as well, and now Mega Man's in a dangerous spot! AXIZ, I think they've just done a massive mistake! They got onto Utapon, trying to heal up best they can! Utapon get forcing away, but look at Megapine, and AXIZ are falling apart! Arya found the pick he was looking for, Nemo, in a difficult spot, and Arya finds that one as well! Now, Hogler in the middle of no man, he gets shut down, and the barbecue is ended, and DFM find a 4-for-1, and they can turn for Baron. That was bloody huge from Arya. This man's a monster.
Oh, it's night and day different when DFM are on and when they're not online. But look at that huge amount of gold into their back pockets. But it's not that much in actuality, because guess what? They didn't get any shutdowns on that. Honey is the player that you want to get, and he's also the one that doesn't die very often. I know did have a small shutdown. They got some gold into the back pocket, but this Baron is where they're going to be looking to make most of the dollar. And what's important is I do believe my built-in timer in my head. They should have this Baron buff just as this dragon is going to be spawning as we come into this replay. I needed to get that set up. This all started with an equalizer that was just kind of looking to probe for information. They didn't get it, so AXIZ now should look to back off. I know you don't have the vision, and this is where they get collapsed on. The problem is, for some reason, AXIZ go, this is where we have to fight. We need to make our stand right here, right now. Hoglet isn't too far behind, and neither was Honey and Nemo. But guess what? When members of your side are already dead, especially important ones like Ino, who has that Gangplank ultimate that he didn't get off. Hoglet had already used his ultimate. He didn't get that off. And this is just DFM getting to collapse upon multiple members. It's unfortunate they didn't get on Honey, but they don't need to when they have a Baron buff and they can just do huge pushes like this. DFM, maybe you've just returned the deficit that you were behind. This is impressive. This is definitely shaping up to be a series and a match.
There comes the curtain call. Looking to try and get so much damage onto Honey. Good God, he's been forced out. Abby going to the back line trying to get onto Honey. Now Abby is so far out though. What is he doing there? He needs to find his way back in. He went to try and get a hold of Honey. Will Nemo goes golden. He's still got the stoppage all this time. It's a 1-for-1 right now, but now Megamin in a difficult position. Gonna keep tracing and Gang's gone really deep. There goes Aria to the backside. He's gonna get the Vanguard edge he was looking for. Goes golden as well. It's a double for the Aurelia. But look at Honey. He gets a big turnaround as well. But he's gonna get the double blade surge. And Aria's Aurelia is just unstoppable. They burnt so much to disengage from Ebby that they can't stop the fight. They're going to keep shoving in, and I think DFM have done it. It's Honey against the world. 40-second death timers. Hoglet won't be up for another 20. Honey needs to find the base defense of his life. That's a Chains of Corruption that goes wild. Utapon down to a third, but he's got so much healing back. Honey going back to the fountain, and Detention FocusMe. Despite the early game, find the 3-0 in this series. You can try and flex a Rumble jungle. It just ain't enough.
It really wasn't. Gang on an MVP caliber performance in that last team fight. Absolutely changed the dynamic, prevented Megamin from getting into the front. The side of DFM collapsed effectively. Actually, Ebby, you played perfectly at the end there, apparently, because they injected so many ultimates into killing you there that it wasn't meant to be. But I have to say it, I've said it a few times in this match alone, it became all about Aria, and what a performance from this star mid laner. Scout should be looking at this player because he night and day changes the dynamic of this game, but it all started from Utapon finding this pick. I hope we've got the replay on screen right now because Honey getting chunked out at the beginning changed everything. And look at this. Hoglet identified correctly that he wanted to get onto Steel. Ebby had gone into No Man's Land, but they're using the cage. Why are we using the cage here? This is a tool that you use to zone control how the future teamfights go. The problem is DFM are just killing actually their front line when there's no backline to help them out. Honey can't do anything because he got chunked at the very start of this. Nemo looking for this, and watch this. Watch what Gang had done. He had already secured 2 of these. Zenith Blade's about to get landed a second time in a moment here. There we go. And then they just keep going again and again. They push the pressure. They push the tempo. They had the Baron buff. AXIZ, you didn't want that fight. Oh my, 3-0.
Yeah, and I think that honestly, that's even into things that we said was making their team comp so difficult. You know, the equalizer, the box, the cannon barrage, all these people diving in, and it's like, this is so hard to play these fights. You're diving into all of this kind of like, you're diving into the Thunderdome, and they still come out on top.
Yeah, exactly.
But at that point, I think I'm going to throw to the analyst desk to break that one down because DFM have earned themselves a rematch versus Rascal Jesters. Apparently, Lexi's camera's looking a bit entertaining, so you get that one
green
before we cut over.
I think we just...
Yeah, we're just going straight into it. All right, yeah. No breaks this time, no warm-ups right now. Look, we were promised a tattoo if we saw the reverse sweep, but apparently we didn't need to wait. Nymeria put that together all on themselves. I don't think I've ever heard a, oh no, I have AXIZ written on my face as the series ended before, yet here we are. So we're going to throw it to you, Nymeria, first. Yeah, you got your prediction correctly. Your team won. Not the way I was expecting to see you celebrate this.
Might have pulled the trigger a bit early. I thought the tattoo buff was going to work. It didn't.
Yeah.
Hi.
Oh, you know what? I'm just happy to see someone committed, unlike a certain someone else who had all these rules and regulations and demanding a reverse sweep. But no, at the end of it all, it was a fun series, and it looked like AXIZ in this one was going to have a better chance than what we've seen up into this point. So, Milka, I'm going to throw it to you. What about this third game made us believe that this is the one that AXIZ would find tonight?
For what they were winning for most of it. That's why. I think they played out the early game a lot better. The composition they drafted was completely different to the way that they've been playing. Megamin finally gets his hand on the Renekton, and then is on there on his GP. Honey's a bit more weak-sided, but it's still always going to be doing damage for you. And it looked pretty good. They were getting objectives, they were getting gold leads, knocking down towers, winning fights. But then it's what happens when you play against DFM. You lose 2 fights at the wrong time, and then the game and the series is kind of over.
And actually, you know what? I just want to throw a little bit of history in there as well, because actually in the first split that we started covering the LJL as an unofficial broadcast was Spring 2020. And when Ari was on CGA, he played an Aurelia game, which he lost. He had this hyper carry, and he played it, I believe, as into Burning Core at the time, but they just picked a comp that was super hard for him to dive into. And we saw a couple of fights in this game where Cannon Barrage came down, and there was a barrel on top of it, and there was a Varusol, and arrows flying in, and Ari would jump in and just immediately get nuked. There was, however, one fight where everything started to pop off in all the wrong ways for AXIZ. I do have a replay of that if we want to throw to that right now, because I wasn't sure if you guys knew about it, so I thought I'd throw it to myself. This is going to be, of course, when we have the 18 mini mark up here, significant gold lead for AXIZ, but you're looking at basically everyone has every summoner available. So we're going to go quickly roll this fight and then see what happens. DFM walk into the river, and though Honey is starting to land stuff, it's not like really this equalizer is doing much, because who's it caught? It's caught these two here, which are, well, not your priority targets. Jhin is safe, Steel is safe, and Arya has a flank. So you have used your Varusol, you have used the Rumble ult. It's all well and good killing off gang. It's all well and good getting onto Ebby, but he remembers he has W, and at that point, well, where did all that HP bar go? Well, it's gone, thrown into the void, and then suddenly Arya doesn't have to worry about a Varusol. The Cannon Barrage is down too. Megamin is in there, but you're on such low HP that Arya can 1v2, 1v3 at this point. We very nearly even get ourselves a pentakill. Gang doesn't even die at the start of this fight to clean things up. And you can see the difference between when, much like in that game 1 actually, when we had those 2 different fights, if you don't have all of your tools ready and available to deal with the Aurelia, well, we know what Arya will do to you. This.
Yeah, well, this was very, very brutal indeed. Look, I'm a simple person at the end of the day. You can break down these team fights in all their technical glory. There's a reason why I'm still in silver. And in my mind and my thinking, the reason why DFM brought it back is because Ebby found out that he had his W key unbound, fixed that up real quick, and all of a sudden things were looking great moving forwards. I know I've been talking about the top lane a bit, and it's been kind of like almost like an inside joke for myself. However, this was the game that I feel like the top lane actually did determine a lot. Ebby struggled a lot early, came back hard late. I know as well on the Gangplank, we're starting to see why this champion was so frequently banned, but didn't have that late game impact that we saw. So I'm going to go back to Middlecott this time around when sort of looking at that turnaround performance. How critical was it for DFM realistically to keep that set alive?
Well, the thing about Set is he's always going to offer you something reliable when you do get to the team fighting stage. Falling behind early on versus a GP doesn't feel great, but the thing that Ebby has done this series and done throughout their career is consistently make big plays when it matters. We saw a couple of very nice face breakers and occasionally some haymakers in those final fights. And AXIZ were never really able to get to a point where they were ahead enough to deal with Arya's Aurelia, which I think is the main thing that really has propelled DFM forward in this final game. And honestly, he's kind of been the standout player this entire series.
Yeah, it was a good Arya, outstanding from start to finish. I do have to agree with you on that. And now it's going to be a case where we're going to be seeing a rematch of that winner's final. Last time it went the distance. I kind of want to start talking a little bit about this now. Obviously, tomorrow we're going to be going in a lot more detail. But Nymeria, before I throw it to you, I do want to point out, I'm pretty sure AXIZ is spelled with a Z at the end. It looks like you have an S there. So,
so trying to do this in a mirror is a little bit hard.
Yeah,
it's just a very
I'm
different
sorry.
axis. That's all.
Yeah,
But still,
I just love graphs. I can just keep drawing them every day. I've got like on one side I've got like my percentage win rate, and then I've got my smugness, and it just keeps going up. It won't stop because I mean, I don't think that DFM will stop either. Going into this finals, I was still a little bit worried about DFM's drafts in this series. Going towards Set Nidalee early is not something I think is particularly solid. I think it can get countered. It is an Ebby special. It's a Steel special as well. No one really picks Nidalee that much in the LJL. Steel has been our main one, unless you go back to last year and we had Blank and a couple of other people playing towards that. But while it's a bit novel for this split, it's something which they've returned to. I think that it is a little exploitable. And I need to see them have answers which don't just let Sol, Secret, and crew from Rascal Jesters just team fight them into the dirt like they did in the Juggernaut match.
Yeah, I think that's the thing for me as well. AXIZ, whilst I know Megamin can play well, they're a bit more of a binary team than Rascal Jesters, who do have threats coming from multiple places on the map, and also a pretty good AD carry in themselves. So I think DFM will be pushed a lot more in that series than they necessarily were today. I feel like a 3-0, whilst the game 2 was a little bit of a stomp, doesn't really reflect the quality that AXIZ have shown both to date and throughout the entire of playoffs. I think a 3-1 would have been a lot fairer. But with that said, it's still a win for DFM. It's still a 3-0, and they're still going to be facing off against Rascal Jester tomorrow.
And I kind of want to carry on just a little bit with that, too, when talking about AXIZ. Like, yes, it was a 3-0. It wasn't their best performance today, but they had been undefeated in the playoffs up to this point. And if you look at this season as a whole, some could argue that they overperformed from where they were placed at the start. It's been an amazing season for them, a breakout season in a lot of ways for Honey, who I think should become more of a household name moving forward. So on that note, I do expect to see a lot from AXIZ in the future. However, for us here at the LJL officially unofficial, I think it is time possibly to sign us off for now. One last time, I would like to thank everyone for tuning in, to our casters of that great series. I mean, Masked Swan and Initialized, they did a fantastic job behind the scenes as well, acting as our wonderful, should I say, producer. We're just going to call him producer extraordinaire. I wanted to come with the special title.
It sums up everything. Producers are all wonderful.
He is a professional juicer.
A professional juicer. Ibram, a big thank you to him, as well, of course, as the Ace Attorney fan putting the graphics together in Chris Edgeworth. Big thank you to all of them and to all of you for jumping in for this one. Tomorrow, same bat time, same bat place. It's going to be the grand final. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope to see you guys around. Have a great night, everybody.